What's up, dudes? Sonder has been activated. Sonder. We've been talking about Sonder. It's 5:49 a.m. on a Friday morning. So Sonder, what does Sonder mean? Let me see. My computer is just starting up. I'm gonna Google it. Sonder is such a profound feeling and such an aha moment that it actually has a word for it. And it sounds kind of basic. It's kind of like, duh. But once you actually, and this is a big thing when you go through the awakening. So what does Sonder mean? Sonder, the profound feeling of realizing that everyone, including, so Spirit says start over. Sonder, and then in parentheses it says uncountable and neologism. I don't know what that means. So it's this profound feeling of realizing that everyone, including strangers passing in the street, including family members, including co-workers, including everyone around you, has a life as complex as one's own, which they are constantly living despite your personal lack of awareness of it. So it's the profound aha moment where you realize, I'm not the center of the universe. The world does not revolve around me. There are other people out there that I may not even know, I may not know well, that I projected things upon, that I've made up something in my mind about this person. And I have every right to do, because that person's just a background character in my life. Yeah. Well, then Spirit sends in a lightning bolt called Sonder, and you have an aha moment. Yeah, that you two are just one of the ants in the colony. Okay? So when it comes to our family members, especially children, I've had 2 children of my own. I gave birth to both of them. Before I had kids, when I was pregnant with my son, I'm just going to pop picture cards and show them. I was pretty delusional, as every parent without kids is. Yeah. The parents who don't have kids, like the parents in their own mind, who don't have kids, are the best parents. That's what they think. Yeah. And I was like that too. When I was pregnant, I was like, yeah, well, I knew I was going to have a son. And so I said, this is my card for the feminine. I said to myself, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to let my son play video games. I want to do it he's going to be an athlete. Yeah. I'm going to get him in all sorts of sports and stuff. And yeah, and he'll have open access to my studio. He can be whatever artist he wants to be. Yeah. And he's going to be this really cool person. This is how, and I was just planning out how I was going to program this little robot once it came out of me. Yeah, fully delusional. All right, somebody may have anger issues. This is my card for somebody who has anger issues. They may have been raised in a toxic environment. Psychic person. I fully expected my son, when I gave birth, I expected him to come out with a little bald, with a little tuft of black hair, just a little. I don't know how I even got that in my mind. I gave birth. My son came out with a full hairdo head of blonde hair, just like this. I was like, who are you? You're nothing like what I imagined. Yeah. And then reality strikes. Paradigm shift. Welcome to parenthood. So, yeah, our kids are definitely not little robots that we can program. No, they're their own people with their own wants and desires, their own likes and dislikes. They're basically a brand new roommate that just moved in with you. This is somebody whose third eye has been opened. Wolverine might mean something. So when my son was little, I said, well, it's summer now. You're not just going to lay around. Of course, my son, yeah. Okay, so when he was in elementary school, his elementary school would give out these weekly planners, like kind of like a workbook thing that they had to do. And then parents had to check and like see what they did during the day and all that kind of stuff. My son, yep, on art day. Now, when I was a kid, I would be like, fuck yeah, finally, art day. Yeah, can't wait. My son wrote whatever it was in his planner, 12 o'clock, art, frowny face. Frowny face? Yeah, my son don't like doing art. His artist mom can't wrap her mind around it. Nope. He's a techie dude. He likes video games. He's going to college now to be a computer engineer. But I hadn't figured that out. I didn't know him enough yet. I was just assuming he was going to be just like me. Plus an athlete. And that was a real wake-up moment for me. Yeah, my son is his own person. Yeah. And he likes computers. And he likes video games. And he likes stuff that I don't really get into. And I like stuff that he doesn't really get into. And that's what makes him cool and special, instead of a second-rate version of me. And a lot of times new parents, or parents who work a lot, may not have had a lot of, sometimes like one parent is kind of the main caretaker and the other one is like the provider. Yeah, the provider might be gone a lot and have certain expectations or something like that. So what we have to really remember is our children are absolutely not extensions of ourselves. And that's an ego test, or our family members, or our coworkers, but more intimate with like the family. I have family members who I'm pretty sure I embarrass them. They've always acted like I'm very embarrassing to them. I don't step in line and conform. I never have. My mother, when I was a teenager, still to this day, in her mind, and what she says is, I couldn't stand how everybody looked at me. And I begged her to help me get my hair fixed. But what really happened, because it was my life and I know what happened, is I had dyed my hair a manic panic green. I had done all sorts of hair dyes, and my mom did not like when I dyed my hair crazy colors. I pierced my nose when I went to college. I came home on a break and I was told I would not have a place to live unless I got that out of my face. So I dyed my hair green. I also have my hair many colors. Green, blue, orange. I think I have pink ones. I used to have braid extensions, all fun colors. Really a parent's nightmare for a parent who loves to keep up with the Joneses type of a parent. And I dyed my hair green. I loved it. And then it started fading. And then I started to look camouflage. And I didn't like how the camouflage looked. So my mother and I were talking, and my mother said, I will pay to get your hair fixed. Because I said, I don't like how the camouflage looks. And my mom said, I will pay to get your hair fixed if you sign a contract that says you will never dye your hair an unnatural color again. So I was 17, 18. Maybe a little bit older, 19. So I think what happened was my mother noticed a bunch of people looking at me, and it made her uncomfortable. I just didn't like how the camouflage looked. So my mom drafted up a contract that said if my mother pays for this, I'm not allowed to dye my hair an unnatural color ever again. I signed it. And she brought me to her hairstylist. And I know my mother loves me in the best way she can. And I walked into her hairstylist, which was a private, it was like a business. There was other people in there. It was an actual salon. And we walked in. And the owner said, oh my God. Yeah, because they usually did older women's hair. Oh my God. Stand right there. We're getting the Polaroid. So I stood there, got my mug shot. The before picture. Yeah. Then I got my hair worked on, fixed. My mother was absolutely overjoyed because I looked normal again. And every time I went into that salon after that, there was my picture taped up on the wall. Just the before picture. There was no after picture. It was just, let's all remember to laugh at the girl with the green hair. And we conformed her. Yeah, we got her back to being just like everyone else. But we forgot to take that picture. Yeah, no, we just display the fucked up green hair. Boy, I really learned my lesson, huh? I know my mother loves me. And I know my mother loves me in the best way she knows how. But I also know my mother has her own issues that made her really have a need to keep up with everyone else. And I was nothing but an embarrassment for her own triggered issues. And so in that moment, my own mother didn't have the feeling of Sonder. No, I was just an embarrassing background character in her life. The owner of the salon didn't have Sonder. Didn't self-reflect that I had no interest in just being the ha-ha before picture that's permanently up on the wall with no after picture. And I kind of, have been conditioned that I had to agree with this and I had to sign that contract or I would have no place to live. So that's why it's very important. That looks like, look at it, looks like it's right in my hand. That's why it's very important that we understand any person is not an extension of us. And we have to allow people. I just looked at the timer and it says 16:16. All right. I hear the song 16 by Noise Addict. It's a great song. It's a great album. Meet the Real You. If you know who Ben Lee is, that was his band when he was a teenager. And so, kind of those things that I went through, different instances like that, became issues for me. Where I felt like everybody was picking on me. And I didn't want to conform. That wasn't who I am. So I decided with my children, I would love them in the best way I know how. And honor them in the best way I know how. But I'm not going to continue to be delusional. I did learn that when I was pregnant, I was totally projecting onto my kid. But then when my kid came out, I realized, he's his own little person. I don't need to scold him for his personal life choices. I don't need to be embarrassed of him for his personal life choices, even though I don't play video games like he does. I still respect what he does. My son has worked for a video game studio. The video game is called SCP, Secret Laboratory. And he's worked for this studio since he was in middle school. He's now third year in college. And that video game is really successful. When I hear my son talking about his role in that studio and the things him and his friends come up with for this game, I think it's about 25 people work for this studio. And he's part of the team. I've seen pictures of him with other co-workers, his soul tribe. The person who's it's like all these people are in their 20s running this whole video game. Okay, I have the hiccups. I don't have the hiccups though. So if I kept signing myself, and I did when he was young, before I really got to know who he was, I think third grade, I signed him up for football camp. And then I signed him up for soccer camp. Yeah, he fucking hated it. Like a day camp thing. I was trying to find what his thing was. Like, what does my son get into? I don't want him just sitting on the couch all summer. My son has a good friend that also is a techie dude, and his name is Tony. And I asked my son, hey, Asher. My son's name is Asher. Hey, Asher, how did you even meet Tony? Because Tony is a year younger than he is. And he said, remember when you made me go to that soccer camp? I can't remember if it was soccer or football. Remember when you made me go to that soccer camp? You forced me to do it? I was like, yeah, when I signed you up for that day camp? Yeah. My son remembers his mother forcing him to do it. And I remember signing him up for a day camp to try to get his feet wet with some different things. And I said, yeah, I do remember. And he said, well, Tony's mom forced him to do it too. And we just stood by each other and hated it together. And now all these years later, they're still friends. So there's a message in that. And our children are not extensions of us. What we may think is best for our children is because it would be best for us, doesn't necessarily ring true that it's best for our child. We have to be careful we're not living our inner child through our children. That's the kid I went to elementary school, man. I went to elementary school with this kid. His parents decided, no, we're raising this kid how we were raised. Yeah, no TV, no pulp. I hear pulp. No pop culture. No, the kid didn't have a TV. He wore weird clothes. That's how I remember it. Ostracized. Yeah, nobody could connect with him because his parents decided their childhood was the right way to raise a kid. And so the kid got raised in a way that was 30 years behind his peers. He didn't have any friends. Nobody could really relate to him. Everybody be like, you don't got no TV? What do you do? I remember him saying, there's plenty to do in the shed. Never had any stickers to trade. Never had any, didn't know how to do any of the pop culture things we were all doing out at recess. All because his parents decided their childhood was better. And in the end, they stunted him with his peers. All right. So the big takeout and takeaway, I hear takeout, somebody might take out food. The big takeaway is that's the number one job as a parent. And if you have a brand new young little one, a baby or something, yeah, meet your new roommate. That's who they are. They're your new roommate. And your job is to guide them properly down the path. But they get to choose which steps they take. They get to choose if they want green hair or not. They get to choose if they want a giant mohawk or not. They get to choose if they want to be just like everybody else. They get to choose who they are. And the onus is on us as the parents to love that child. Whether or not they're just like us or completely opposite of us. Because we chose to bring that child here to planet Earth. And the onus is on us as parents to accept that child for who they say they are. All right. So there's the message. Other things. If you got a new baby, yeah, babies are freaking loud. They're loud and creaky. Nobody ever told me that. That was the thing that, like, astonished me the most. How creaky and loud and weird baby noises are. I love babies. A newborn baby doesn't know how to fart. So they will be sitting there. Imagine when you've had a gas bubble and you're like, ah! Okay, I feel better. Yeah. A baby will sit there with that giant bubble in their tummy, just racking them. Yeah. And so I remember laying my son and my daughter on their back and kind of doing a gentle bicycle move with their legs. And we used to call it farting the baby. They'd be so fussy, and then all of a sudden, yeah. So there's little tips and tricks that you learn, and then eventually they learn how to push a fart out, and everybody's life gets better. Somebody may be potty training. Okay. Yeah, so I broke up with my son's father when he was about three, like a permanent breakup. We had broken up a couple times before. And he went to his father's. I have full legal, he's 20 now. I had full legal custody of my son. And we went to family court and all of that. And I worked out a thing with my son's father where he decided he wanted to get our son every weekend. And I said, no problem. When he was doing well, he got into a little bit of trouble, but he got himself straightened out. And when he was doing well, he was seeing my son every weekend. I remember saying to him, yeah, no, Ash pooped in the toilet, yeah. He just yelled at me, Mom, wipe my butt, Mom. His dad's like, what? He's been wiping his own butt at my house for like the past 6 months. I'm like, what? Yeah, my son just wanted his mommy to wipe his butt still. Now he's a 20-year-old man. Yeah. He's a really personal dude, and I'm very, very proud of him. He goes to the University of Minnesota. He made the dean's list. And when he comes to visit me, he always remembers that his mama's favorite candy bar is a strawberry Charleston chew. And the corner shop over at the University of Minnesota sells strawberry Charleston chews for $1.50. And every time that kid walks through the door, he has a strawberry Charleston chew in his hand for his mama. And despite all our differences, yeah, that kid still understands me, and I understand him. He also brings a Hershey bar for his sister. Yeah, that was the last time I wiped his butt after his dad said that. I'm like, dude, you can wipe your own butt. So, yeah, I see a little potty chair. So his dad and I had a lot of complications. We were better off as friends than in a relationship. We had a karmic contract. to bring this wonderful boy onto planet Earth who's become a great man now. And we're better off just being friendly with each other. All right. I think that's the message. So let's all remember what sonder means. What does sonder mean? Sonder, the profound feeling of realizing that everyone, including strangers passing in the street, including our own children, has a life as complex as one's own, which they are constantly living despite one's personal lack of awareness of it. All right, there's the morning muse. I'll be back with some, I think I'm going to do some like regular sign readings today. All right, love ya. Yeah, and reach out to your kid today. Tell them, yeah, find something about them that's completely different than you and text to them, yeah, I love this about you. Right now, yeah, and say this, right now, at this very moment, you are my favorite thing on planet Earth.